Okay. Hello, everybody. We are here today to talk about the online lead retrieval and response project that we will be launching. The target launch date for this is going to be November 21st of this year, so we're very excited that you are all here today. Here on this call, I have Sarah Maceo, who will be taking over the bulk of the training today. And I am Monica Martinez. I work for Convention Sales and Services as a CRM manager and data analyst. So today we want to talk about exactly what this is, so you have a better idea of how this will be affecting your hotel. The online lead retrieval and response project is a project within the GMCV's database that is going to allow you and us to receive and send leads electronically via the extranet. And this is going to have benefits to the planners, the hotel partners, and the GMCVB. So to start off, the benefit to the planners, planners will be able to receive a download of all responses together if desired, and all responses will be summarized for them in a consistent format so they can easily review availability and rates. For the hotel partners, we're going to be able to have all leads in one place, so you won't be able, you won't miss any emails. You'll be able to assign them electronically, which is always a plus. Any status changes to the leads will be live, so partner hotels can see updates in real time. So you won't have to reach out, to a GMCV representative to see if a lead is still available or not. You can go straight to the extranet and see what the status is. To the GMCVB, there will be no more lost emails. Partners will be able to retrieve whatever notes we have, whatever leads we send to you right away. And it's going to help our sales manager keep responses in one place and communicate with both the planner and the hotel partners efficiently. So for today's agenda, we have a couple of things scheduled for you guys. So first, we're going to go over what exactly the extranet is in case you're not familiar. This is essentially the basics of how you get on. Next, we're going to be talking about how to manage contacts in case people, leave, or you hire someone new, or you need to change who the lead catcher is, or anything like this. Next, we're going to be talking about why we're here, how to retrieve the leads, how to go in there and find a specific lead, how to see all the leads outstanding, anything like that. Okay. And then, I just want to take a moment to let you guys know that we do have a Q&A box down at the bottom. Throughout this webinar, if you do have any questions, feel free to put it in this Q&A box, and I will be, checking and making sure that we catch those. And then for now, I'll pass it on to Sarah.
Thank you so much, Monica. And also, I'd like to say thank you to all of our partners for joining us today for the training. We know it's always difficult for you to take time out of your very busy days, so hopefully we're going to get everything covered nice and succinct, and we'll send you on your way with all the information you need. So once again, I'm Sarah Maceo. I'm on our information systems team, and I work a lot with our partnership department, and you may have seen me before in some other extranet trainings, videos that you may have seen. And I wanted to take a moment, speaking of extranet training, to tell you a little bit about our online lead retrieval and response resources page. I'll be posting that in the chat window once we're done here, and also following up with an email for everybody with those resources. It's a page that you can go to at any time to check out and see if you need to download a how-to guide or that kind of thing. And also, I'm going to be sending you our extranet resources page, which is kind of the other landing page that has all of the relevant information for everything that you can do on the extranet. For today's session, the only thing that we're going to focus on is what you need to know in order to get the online retrieval and response process implemented at your property so that you're ready to receive and respond to leads. So that's what we're going to do today. Before we get started with that process, I just want to cover a bit of housekeeping. And so I think Monica first pointed out a couple of things a minute ago, and we spoke about how that we're going to cover basics of how to get onto the extranet. So I'm sharing with you, the screen here that shows you how to get to the login page, and that would be right down here, the gmcvextranet.com. That's going to be the login page. And if you don't know if you have an account set up, you can type your email address in under the forgot password link. And if you receive an email, then that means that you have an account set up with us. If you don't receive that email, that means you probably don't have an account set up or you don't have extranet access enabled. And in that case, Monica or I will be able to assist you with that. So we're going to follow up with you, like I said, later on after the webinar. We're going to send everyone who attended an email with all of this information so that you can follow the steps to get yourself logged in. If you do know your login and password, you're more than welcome to follow along. But some of the things that you're seeing on the webinar today, you're not going to be able to follow along with since it's not live in everyone's extranet system quite yet. So also just a couple of other things. If you received a welcome email, or if somebody, let's say that you add a contact into the system, which I'll show you how to do, and assign them extra permissions and they receive a welcome email, you can just use the link inside that email and follow the instructions to set a permanent password. Also, your account has to be in good standing in order to access the extranet. So if you receive this on-screen message of invalid token, then that means there's something on the account that requires our attention, excuse me. And then in that case, you can contact our partnership department, or you can just email one of the two of us and we'll get you to the right place. Finally, I want to mention one very important thing that I think may affect some people on this call, which is that if you represent more than one hotel, or if you are a lead catcher for more than one hotel, a sales manager for more than one hotel, then please let us know, because we can set this up so that one email address and password gives you access to all of your properties with just the one username and password. That's something you won't be able to set up on the extranet. We'll need to do that for you. But it's definitely a great time saver and a wonderful way to keep it organized. So let us know if that's the case for you. So right here, we're heading right into the nitty gritty of what to do. And at this point, I'm actually going to switch over to our live system so that I can show you in the extranet exactly how to do everything. And the first thing that we're going to start with is contacts. So I've logged into the extranet already. I'm here on the home page. And if your home page looks a little bit different than mine, that's okay. You should see the header image here for sure, but everything here on the bottom kind of depends on your own screen settings, your Zoom, and how you have your widgets set up. So if you don't match exactly, that's totally fine. I want to point out a couple things to you on the screen. The first would be this drop down here at the top. In the case where you have multiple hotels, they may not appear here necessarily in the drop down, but don't let that alarm you. You'll still be able to see them when we get to the appropriate section. And then off on the left over here is where we have our left-hand navigation, and all of you should see here everything that I see except for the administration. So to start with, we're going to teach you how to manage your contacts. So basically, I'm just going to cover real quick the process of online lead retrieval and maybe give you a little bit of context to help you understand how this will all work. So to recap, the way that we send our convention sales leads currently is we send an email to all of our partner hotels, and that email has a PDF attachment that has all of the leads details on it. The email is sent to everybody at your property who is marked as a sales RFP catcher, and I'll show you that in just a moment when we get there. And so once you receive the lead, then the lead has all of the necessary details with what you may need to assign it to somebody on your team who then will respond to the lead. Or in some cases, it may be one and the same person who does that whole process. So the responses we, from before this point, have requested that the responses go directly to the meeting planner with a copy to the sales manager. So all of those emails come in to us individually to whichever sales manager is handling that lead. So what's going to be changing is that from starting on our launch date, November the 21st, we're still going to be sending those notification emails to the sales RFP catchers. And then, except that the email notifications will not have a full copy of the lead. It will contain some information about the lead, such as the name, the lead ID, and some other identifying information, so that you know how to go onto the extranet to retrieve it with that lead ID, where you can then download a full copy of the lead and then respond electronically. Or you can assign the lead to somebody else on your team and they can respond electronically. So in this process, we're really relying on two contact types. One is going to be the sales RFP catcher. That is the person who receives the notification email that a new lead has been assigned to your property. And then we have the sales RFP contact. And the sales RFP contact is the person that the lead gets assigned to and is the person who will be responding to the lead. It can be the same person. So if you're the catcher and the contact, that's totally fine. Once the contact is assigned a lead, then the contact will also receive an email notification stating that you have assigned that lead to them, and then they can go on and retrieve the lead from the extranet. So if you are a catcher and you have 5 sales managers on your team, you can go ahead and set up each of your sales managers here on the extranet as a sales RFP contact to make sure that they have the appropriate level of permissions to go in and retrieve that lead. So I hope that context helped. And just as a reminder, if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A box. I'm kind of watching it off on the side, but Monica's probably doing a better job than me. So if you have a question that is coming up at the appropriate time, we'll be happy to answer it. It's a kind of a smaller group today, so that allows for lots of time to stop for questions. So please do take advantage of that, and hopefully we can get all your questions answered. So to start with, we're going to go ahead and start with the profile link over here on the left. And under profile, we have a link here that says contact. So we're going to go ahead and click on contacts. And here we are. And I'm logged in as a test account here called the Beautiful Beachfront Bungalow Hotel. And as you can see, I've got a couple of contacts in here and I'm signed in as myself. And I want to point out a couple things on this screen that will be consistent across other screens within the extranet. The first is going to be the filters here at the top. So by default, my filters are the account name and the contact type, which I think is fine. It should be the same for most people that are already here on the call with access to the extranet. The account filter is handy if you handle more than one property. So if you did handle more than one property and we have it set up that way, you would see all the properties listed in the dropdown. So if you were just interested in seeing contacts specific to one hotel, you would just select it from the list and then click apply filters, and then it would show you just those contacts. For the contact type, I want to spend a minute to talk about that. We have 2 contact types. One is primary and one is inactive. Don't let the word primary confuse you. It's probably not the correct term to be used. It really should be active and inactive, but primary does not mean that they're any kind of primary contact with any additional sort of access or anything like that. It's just basically active and inactive. And while we're on the topic of active and inactive, I want to point out as well that you cannot delete a contact from the extranet. You can just mark them as inactive, which I'll show you in just a minute. We don't allow deletion of the contact because if that contact has had activity with us, maybe like they've made a payment, they've responded to a lead, etc. If you were to delete that person, then all of that history would go away too. For that reason is why we need you to only inactivate if somebody has left your property. And in addition, I would also want to caution you against overwriting someone's information. So for example, if someone has left, let's say that Laura left and she's been replaced by Jessica, I don't want to go into Laura's record and overwrite the information with Jessica's information. Instead, I want to mark Laura as inactive and enter a brand new contact for Jessica. So having said all of that, I'm going to cover the Manage Filters cogwheel up here at the top. If you find that you would like to have any additional filters to filter by, you can click on that little button. And this is asking you, well, what kind of additional filters do you want? Do you want to be able to sort by department? Do you want to search by first name, last name, any of these things? So I'm just going to go ahead and choose, let's say, department. And then I'm going to, at the bottom of the form, click apply changes. And so now you can see that I have this department box that comes up. So if I have all of my departments nice and organized, I can search that way. So those are your filters. The other thing that you can modify in this view are going to be the columns on this grid here. And you can modify the columns again by clicking on the cogwheel. And the columns, it's asking you, well, what other columns do you want to see? So if I wanted to see the department column, then I would just select it and then click on apply changes. Now, in this case, I haven't filled out any departments, so they're not here. You can't see any, but if you had, they would definitely appear there. And then also in the cogwheel, you can order the columns as well. So if I wanted department right after the account, I could just drag that up just like that. And I can also reorder the filters. So if I wanted account first and then contact type and then department, click apply, and then it would make those changes for me. So the settings can be very helpful. You can customize this so it's most helpful to you in your workflow. So as you can see, I have a couple of contacts in here already. And once you're wanting to add a contact, then you can click on the Add Contact button. Otherwise, you can edit the contact. You can click the eyeball button to view the details of it, or you can click the two little papers to clone or duplicate that contact, which it's not really helpful to duplicate, to be honest with you. I don't like the function at all because you're basically copying one contact to another, but ultimately all of your contacts are going to have different names and email addresses, so it's not really saving you much time. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and click on Add Contact and show you how we would do that. And we're just going to follow through with each of the fields that are here, and thankfully it's not a lot of fields to fill out. So I'm going to go ahead and add in Alex, Bautista. There we go. I'm going to say that he is a sales manager for my property, and I'm going to make him a lead contact later. So I'm going to go ahead and add his email in here. All right. And under contact type, I'm going to make him primary because he is active and not inactive. I want to take a second to explain the send email checkbox. It is required and you do have to select yes. So the send email allows our system to send Alex emails. So when he has a new lead that's assigned to him, that email will come automatically from the system. And if you select no, he won't get that. So it is important you select yes. In addition, when you select yes, Alex will begin to receive emails from the GMCVB, but he can opt out of those separately if he doesn't want to receive those. A little bit further down, we have a telephone number, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to enter his birthday, you certainly can. I don't know his birthday. He's not on the call. I have to ask him what his birthday is. And we have some address information that pulls directly from the account. And then below that, we have a contact role, which is required. And I'm going to explain this a little bit more. So up above, I did have a field that asked for a title. However, in this dropdown, we're asking you to categorize this contact based on their title to the most fitting sort of category. So in this case, it would be sales, sales manager, account manager, so on. If he had been a sales leader, like a director of sales and marketing, then we would mark him as sales leader. In this case, I'm going to make it sales manager. All right. And if this person wants to be excluded from the partnership directory, which we post on the extranet every month, you can select yes to exclude, but by default it will be no. That partnership directory is shared with all of our partners. And that's it. Actually, this online lead response you will not see because that's an admin function. So once you finish with that contact, you will click on the save button. Now you'll notice when we did that, we didn't see any place that you could identify Alex as a sales RFP contact. So that's because you can only identify him as a sales RFP contact on the view level. So as you notice, once we clicked on the save button, we returned to the detail view, and now none of the fields are actually editable. I can only look at them. And then when I scroll down, there's a section here called security/permissions. And this is where you would give Alex extranet access permissions and to mark him as a sales RFP contact. And for that, I'm going to click on the edit permissions button right here. And here is, there's a whole bunch that are here, but the most important one that he's going to need is going to be extranet access enabled. That will give him access to the extranet. And then down below, you'll see the sales RFP contact checkbox as well. Now, I'm going to just flip back to my little PowerPoint here, excuse me, because I have all of the things that I spoke about are in the slide deck as well. We already talked about all the filters and grid views, the email opt-out, and here we have the security permissions. And I wanted to point this out because on this deck that we will be sending you after the training today, we have a summary of all the security permissions and what they allow the person to do so that you can get a little bit more familiar. I'm not going to go through all of them now, but I just wanted to point out to you that those are there. And also I wanted to mention that since we're working on contacts, if you wanted Alex to be able to add contacts, view contacts, and manage other contact security, so if you wanted him to be able to add additional people, then we would give him manage contact security, view, and add contacts. All right. And again, the difference between the sales RFP catcher is the person who receives the initial email saying that an opportunity has been assigned to your property, and the sales RFP contact is then the person who that lead is assigned to, who will ultimately respond to the lead. So I'll leave this exactly how it is. If you wanted to just give them everything, you can do the select all as well. That's totally fine. And then click on apply changes. So once you have applied the changes, if you're just assigning for the very first time permissions, as soon as you assign this extranet access enabled permission, this contact will receive that automated email that I told you, which is the welcome email that the person who clicked to then set a permanent password for the extranet. And probably would be a great idea as well for any additional contacts that you're adding as sales RFP contacts or catchers to make sure that they receive the information on how to attend one of our training sessions so that they can get trained on how to do all of this and how to respond and retrieve leads and all of that, okay? So I'm watching the Q&A window. I don't see anything there. I think we're okay to move forward. Now that we've gone ahead and added our contact details, it's time for the next wonderful addition that we're going to have for all of you, which I think you'll find interesting. We have an additional area there under the profile link over here on the left called My Benefits. This is a separate extranet permission as well. So if you want someone to be able to see this, make sure you give them the benefits access. So what this is essentially is it captures all of the information on all of the leads that GMCVB has sent you in between a range of time. And in this example on the screenshot, we have the month starting November 2021 to October 2022. And in this example, we're given how many RFPs were sent, how many did not respond, turned down, so on and so forth. I can't show you this live because in my account that I'm logged in as, I have no such data. So it's just going to show zeros for everything. So that's why I'm pointing out this for you here. And also I want to warn you that when you log into your own system, your My Benefits summary will be there already. However, that at least until 30 days after our launch, the statistics that you see in that section for your property will not be accurate, simply because it will be counting leads from the past, and it will just say that you didn't respond for most of them. Pretty much any ones that didn't come through CVENT, it will say that you didn't respond. So obviously that's going to give you incorrect numbers. So don't worry, you didn't actually miss all those leads if you see that number. So we'll get that updated for you once we're up and running. And we'll probably do another session or another announcement about that in our monthly partner email that you should also be receiving each month. So finally, we're going to hop over to the opportunities and RFPs to actually show you how to retrieve those leads. And once again, I already covered this before when we were talking about contacts, but once again, I want to make sure that you realize that you can customize the filters that are located here at the top by clicking on the little cogwheel and choosing exactly which ones you want to see there. And we'll get it defaulted so that it's the same for everybody and you don't have to remember how to do this, but if you want to customize it, you certainly can. Another very important thing to remember is that each time you come in here, it may remember some of the settings that you had in there before. So for example, right now we can see that there are some filters because we see the clear filters button is here. If there had been nothing chosen, that clear filters button would not be there. As you can see right now, we're filtering by a couple of different property lead statuses. And I could undo that simply by unchecking them and then clicking on apply filters. So I want to talk to you first a little bit about some of the things you can filter by. So first and foremost, you can filter by responded is yes or no. So if you just want to see any leads you have not responded to, you can select no and then click apply filters. But if you're coming into the extranet and you're looking for a specific lead, you can search for that lead by lead ID. So if I know my lead ID is 49621, then I can do that and click on apply, and then it will give me my results here at the bottom. Of course, you can also choose any of the other criteria like the response due date. So if you want to see everything that is due in the next 7 days, just to make sure nothing has slipped between the cracks, you can select that and apply. So these filters can be very useful for you and they can be definitely a time saver and help keep you a little bit organized. Also, I want to talk to you a little bit about these property lead statuses. And for that, I'm going to once again flip back over to my PowerPoint here. And the status definitions for these are they're pretty self-explanatory. So closed / no bid sent is where we start. That means that the leads can be tentative, definite, lost, canceled, and this means that your property did not bid on this piece of business and the response due date has passed. Also, we have open, which is they're tentative, your property hasn't bid, but the due date has not passed. Open / bid sent means response due date has not passed, and also we're still accepting bids, but you already sent one. And you can go back in once you sent a bid to actually modify the bid, as long as the response due date hasn't passed. For turn down, this means that you looked at it, you responded to the lead, but you indicated that you can't participate because either you don't have availability or it doesn't meet the criteria, whatever your reason is, you turned it down. Closed / decision pending means that the lead is still tentative on our end. It's not happening. Well, I shouldn't say it's not happening. It's not for sure happening yet. But the response date has passed, and but the decision date hasn't passed. The decision date is the date by which the meeting planner is making a decision. So since the response date has passed, you cannot edit your response, but you should keep monitoring the lead to see what happens with the decision. The close lost to another city means exactly what you think it means. It means that it's a lead you may or may not have bid on and the business has been lost to a different destination. Closed canceled, this is a lead that your property won, but the group has since canceled. Closed won means definite leads where your property was selected as one or more of the properties for the lead. So citywide, for example, you have more than one property, but you did win that piece of business. And then we have closed /1 properties TBD, and it's a definite lead for the destination, but the group hasn't decided on a hotel or hotels yet. And then there's finally closed lost, which is definite leads in which your property wasn't selected, and you may or may not have bid for that. So those definitions are important to know, and I definitely recommend that you review these internally with your team once you have established who's going to be part of the lead process, because it's important that they know what these statuses mean. So flipping back to my live system here, I typed in my lead ID. So let's assume that I'm the lead catcher for the beautiful beachfront bungalow hotel. I've received a notification. The notification gave me the lead ID. I typed it in here so that I can retrieve it. At this point, I'm going to review what it says here, and I can see on the screen that the property lead status is open. So open meaning I have not, bigger for you, I have not responded yet to the lead, but it is still open. And also I can see that the response date is 12/15. So that means I need to respond by December 15th, I or somebody on my team, I should say. So I'm going to click on the eyeball button to open that lead. And when I click on the eyeball button, I'm in view only mode. I can't click in any of the fields to edit them. So at this point, there's a couple of things that I want to point out. The first would be that you are able to print by clicking on the print button here at the top, and it will literally print everything that is on the screen. I know some people are more paper people and some people more electronic people. And so if you are a paper person, you can still click the good old print button to get the printout. So everything you see on your screen is going to be printing for you, including the lead ID as well as the CVENT code. And while we're talking about CVENT, I'll also just take a moment to mention that if your property has received a CVENT lead that also came through us, then you will see all of those CVENT leads in our database as well, and you can search by CVENT code. And as soon as you submit your bid through CVENT, that bid will also come through our system and will be reflected in the extranet automatically. So CVENT leads don't require duplicate response. That response has already been captured for you. So in fact, if some of you are on the call that are participating in CVENT and you want to go ahead and check out what the extranet looks like now for you, you'll actually be able to see any leads that did come through CVENT already in your RFPs area, and it will show that you responded to them. Just a side note, just so you're aware of that. So you can see just below that, we've got our meeting name, account, organization, all the basic information about the contact, so on and so forth, some additional information. Some things that I want to point out that are of significance here would be the decision-making process. So how is this group making a decision? Is it self, committee, board, other, that kind of thing? We have the decision date, the date by which they're making a decision. the response due date, the date by which hotels need to respond, and then all of the details on the lead right here. And then also we have the meeting specs. So you can actually click on that download, link to download and take a look at the PDF. Below that, it tells me who the sales manager is at the GMCVB, not the hotel. So I know I'm logged in as myself, kind of not making any sense here, but sales manager would be on our end. And then down below that, I can see at the beautiful beachfront bungalow hotel, the status is open. It says currently assigned Bradley Grimes because I actually did some testing here before, but it will say, if this is the first time you're looking at a lead, it will say none. And then instead of reassign, it will say assign. And that process of assigning is actually really simple. We'll cover that in a moment. And then just below that, we have our preferred meeting dates. And you can see that there's a plus button next to each preferred meeting date that you can actually respond to individually and independently. So you can let us know if you want to sign up for all or some or none of the dates for the meeting. We have some more notes on the preferred dates in the meeting dates section. And then we've got under contract details where the contract is being signed out of, which may or may not help you to assign it to somebody on your team. I hope it does. Below that, we have our room summary, which is showing exactly the number of rooms that this group is asking for. And some additional room request needs about specifically what types of rooms they're looking for. If we revise this lead, then the notes would be here about what has changed during the revision. And finally, we have some future and history dates. Those won't always be there. And again, we've got the responses section. And so, and then the room data section is for post meeting, or it can also be before the meeting so that you can update your pickup rooms. So we'll get into that a little bit later. So for right now, first thing we're going to do is assign this lead. And right now it's assigned to Bradley Grimes, or again, as I said earlier, if it's not assigned to anyone, then it will say no and assign instead of reassign. I'm going to click on reassign. And when you click that button, just give it a second or two. This has a little bit of a delay on it, but it will appear on the right side of the screen where you'll have a chance to assign a contact. So I want to point out that earlier I put in Alex Batista here as a sales manager, and I gave him that permission of sales RFP contact. So Alex appears here and I can assign it to him if I would like. And in fact, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to click on Alex's name and then click on save. And once I've assigned, you'll see the name appears here. And at this point, Alex will receive an email stating that he has a lead assigned and that he needs to go in and respond. Now, if you're the sales RFP catcher and you're going to be doing the responding, let's say on Alex's behalf, maybe he said, you know what, I'll let you know what to respond. Go ahead and you respond on my behalf and all that. You can still assign it to Alex, but you can be the one to submit the response if you would like. So the print response log just gives you a summary of the response that you've submitted, but obviously we haven't put one in yet, so there won't be anything here. But at this point, I can go ahead and respond to the lead if I like, or again, if it's Alex, he would be going in here and he would be also clicking on the little eyeball button to open the lead, and he would come to the same area to click this plus button to enter a response for any of these meeting dates. So I'm going to click on this very first set of dates, which is the preferred date. And when I do that, it will take me into that lead again, show me the basic information at the top. So the next thing here is it's going to ask me for the hotel contact information. We're going to try and get this done so that it will pull the information over based on who the lead has been assigned to. But for right now, I'm just going to type that in. All right. And so this question is asking, are you pursuing the lead? Are you turning it down or not? And so we're going to be pursuing yes for the preferred date. And you'll see that the response information, you can type in some comments and you can say something like, thank you for considering our beautiful hotel. Literally, we hope to see you soon. All right. And let's say that my rate range, I'm offering a couple of different kinds of rooms. And so my rate is going to be a very affordable $159 to $239. And my rooms offered and peak nights, you can see that these fields are grayed out and that I cannot click into them to change them. And that's because those numbers will update based on what I have typed into these boxes. So let's say that I'm just offering because my rates range from 159 to 239. Let's just say I'm offering on this first night, they've requested 20 rooms. So I'm just going to offer 20 run of house on this night, 50. And then I'm going to do 300 run of house and 300 singles. And I'll just kind of continue filling out that table until I'm all done and I've filled. Now you don't have to actually fill the entire block. If you can only offer a certain number of rooms, then you can certainly respond that way as well. So in case, for example, if this had been a citywide lead, then it may make sense for you only to have a small portion of that block, and that's totally fine. We'll then notify the meeting planner accordingly. All right, so here, and there we go. So that's filled the block. And so once I put that information in there, you can see now that the rooms offered and the peak night rooms has been filled out for me. All right, so this part I'm all done. And next I'm going to click on the save button. All right, there we go. So now I am going down here to see that I have responded to the date with the appropriate rooms and room information. And now instead of a plus button, I see that there is a little pencil button next to the actions. And you can actually, that's how you go back and edit your response. So if you were to click on the little pencil icon, then you can go back in here and respond. Now, one thing that I cannot show you in our live system yet, but it is coming, will be the ability to attach a proposal. And that will just be a very simple button in your response where you would just click on upload file, and then it will let you upload your apps, etc. Anything, if you want to link to something, if you have like an online bid book or something like that, you can put a link. It's completely up to you, but that's a wonderful feature to have as well. Now, let's say that for the second and third dates, there's no availability. So I'm just going to go ahead and say I am not participating in this. All right, so I am not pursuing this. Sorry, we are sold out. All right. And also in this case, if you're not pursuing this lead, normally it would tell you this is not required, because obviously for if you're not bidding, then you're not going to give them a quote on room rates. So we're going to make that field not required if you select that you're not pursuing the lead. So from here, we'll click on save. And now you can see that we've got our pursuing updated for the second set of dates, and then we'll do the same for the third set of dates. Not pursuing. All right. And we'll click the save button. Perfect. All right, so now we've got our 3 responses in here. There we go. And now, while we're here, we can also notice that the lead status updated to open/bid sent. So the response date hasn't passed. You already sent a bid, but you can still go in and edit that those bids. Now, I will mention that if there are 3 dates that are being asked for and you only respond to one of them, either that you're pursuing or not pursuing, it will update the status with bid sent. So it's possible for you to have 2 outstanding alternate dates you never responded to, but as long as you sent at least 1 response, that will update for you. So I'm going to flip back here to my little deck and kind of cover what we talked about. We talked about how to find a lead, how to view and print a lead, and I pointed out a couple of special significant boxes with information. We talked about how to assign a lead to somebody else, how to respond, and we talked about the comments, the rates, the room block information, and about how to respond. Oh, one thing I didn't cover actually. I want to cover this real quick. I should have done this on the third one. I apologize. This copy response, actually, I could have copied the response from the second one to the third one. So when you click that, you can just, now it won't do it because I've responded to everything, but once you click on the duplicate response, it'll ask you which set of dates you want to duplicate that response for. So you actually don't have to do that a second time or third time, or however many alternate dates there are. So I apologize I didn't cover that, but that feature is there. So moving on, now let's say that the lead goes through its process and you have been selected, you won the business, and at that point, there will be an automatic email that will go out to, I mean, obviously at this point, your property will know that it's gone definite, but also we will be sending out an email saying, congratulations on having been selected. And please, if you could, go in and upload a contract. And so at that point, you're still going to be in the same screen. And I want to point out these little sections you can jump to real quick. So if you click on contract details, that's going to show you where the contract is signed out of, but not actually where you can upload a contract. So that is actually going to be here, but it won't be visible until this lead is actually set as definite. So at that point, once it is definite, pop back in here for a second, you'll see what it looks like here. You'll be able to upload the contract, and then the little paperclip icon is what allows you to upload a different file. So that's what that will look like. So the contracts, that's one part. And then once the group arrives and leaves, then you have RFP pickup as well. And RFP pickup kind of works the same way. Once a group has departed, then we are going to be sending the property's pickup manager an email and letting them know that it is time to go in and fill out the post-convention room pickup. And I want to point out for a moment that if you want to check who that person is, and it might be more than one person, it's whoever has the permissions set up as pickup manager. That's the person or people who will have access to go in and actually fill out the room flow for the room pickup after the event. So to do that, that's pretty easy too, although I realize now it's not going to let me see that section, so I'll have to go back to my trusty PowerPoint. So for that, it works much the same way. You're just going to enter the lead ID number here, or you can use the CVENT ID, same thing. And then for the property lead status, you can also use that if you like. You don't have to. If you don't know the lead ID, if you want to just go in at any given time to look at anything closed that your property has won for any future or any past dates rather, then it'll show you everything from the past that you may need to fill out room data for. So once you find that, then you will, I know this is probably kind of small, but down here, there's where the arrow is pointing, it says room data. So if you click on that section, once you're in the lead, then at that point you can actually, this is what that looks like. You'll click on the little pickup link, and then it will allow you to add shoulder days if there were additional days outside of the block that were not originally included. And of course, then you could just go ahead and type in what the pickup was on each of those days and what the average daily room rate was. So while we're on this screen as well, I'll point out next to the pickup, there's also the days out. So this is what I was referring to earlier when I said if there's a big convention that's coming and we are asking you to complete sort of days out pickups or what's been picked up so far. There's different screens there. So depending on what we're asking for, it could be 30, 60, 90 days out, that kind of a thing. But it looks exactly the same way as it looks here. So again, you don't have to do that for each group. It's probably going to be something that's more upon request when that is something we're asking you to do. Again, it will be an email to the pickup manager and the person who's assigned to the lead. So pretty simple. All right, and so I have so far we've very accurately estimated that this whole thing would take about 45 minutes, and here we are right on schedule at 10:45, and I have just a couple of closing remarks for you. So now that you have completed the training, you have earned the badge. Monica and I are happy to pass the baton on to you because you will be responsible for updating your property's sales RFP catchers and sales RFP contacts within the GMCVB extranet in preparation for our launch, which once again is scheduled for November 21st. That's Thanksgiving week, so that is our Thanksgiving gift from us to you. And we will continue to remind any existing contacts within the database at your properties via email about our upcoming training sessions and resources, and recommend that you coordinate with your own specific internal teams to identify an operating procedure that would work for you. So either you want to wait for those notification emails to come in, or you want to set a certain time of the day that you're going to be checking for new leads. That's completely up to you, but certainly something worth talking about. Don't forget to let your other staff members know to attend a training session as soon as possible so that everyone can be ready with plenty of time. Of course, if you'd like to repeat the session at any time, or anyone else would like to sign up, you're always more than welcome. The more the merrier. The closer that we will get to the launch date, we're going to be distributing a step-by-step how-to guide for our catchers and contacts. After today's session, we're going to be sharing our slide deck with you. It may change a little bit as we make a few other adjustments before launch, but once again, we'll be sending you updated information on that. And then we recommend that you bookmark a couple of pages. This is what I was talking to you about earlier, which is the online lead retrieval and response resources page, the extranet resources page, and then finally the link to meet our convention sales team so that you can get to know your counterparts on the GMCVB side. And since we're going to be sharing the slide deck with you, you don't have to worry about saving these links. We'll go ahead and share those with you after the event today. So I did all of my housekeeping. Now it's time for the questions. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the chat window here. We're both going to be watching it, the Q&A, to see if you have any questions that we can answer for you. And we'll stay on for a couple of extra minutes here to wait and see if any come through. But if you don't have any questions, then the rest of the day of Monday is yours to conquer. So thank you very much for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to make sure you're all set and prepared for our new wonderful online lead retrieval and response launch. So thank you again and have a wonderful day. I don't see a lot of questions. None at all. And I slowly see people leaving too.
Yeah, we have 2 online. We'll see.
All right, well, I think we're good on questions. So at this point, we'll end the webinar. If you're still with us, thank you so much for attending. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions that you may have, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a wonderful day.